share my screen with you here. And let's jump right in. I hope you guys are excited. All right, so you guys, oh, awesome, Mary, thank you for letting me know you can hear me. Excellent, excellent. So again, guys, let me know if you have any questions as we go through this. And it's gonna be broken out into 2 days. Today's the first day, tomorrow's the second day, and I will explain as we go. But basically what you guys are gonna learn in this class are the 7 most powerful and natural weight loss and health principles and strategies. I'm talking, these are the most powerful things you need to know. Number 2 is exactly what's been keeping you from achieving your weight loss goals. And they may not be what you think, actually. We're going to get more into the mindset part of this tomorrow, but I promise you, if you listen into both of these days, it's going to change the game for you. And the last piece is the mindset and self-image that you need to adopt to literally guarantee your weight loss success. Okay, this is not going to be like any other class you go through. I promise you, and this is from years of me being a holistic health coach and working with many, many clients and refining these processes down to these 7 most powerful principles. It's going to change the game for you. And so the reality is, you guys, by the end of tomorrow, I not only want you to discover exactly what's been keeping you stuck and preventing you from your weight loss goals, but I want you to be so fired up and empowered about it and what to do about it that you start taking action right away. Okay, and I really hope you get that from today's class as well, but definitely by tomorrow. Okay, so before we begin, I just want to share some of my success stories here. This was my very first client, my cousin, actually, her name is Rachel, and she lost over 60 pounds in about a year working with me initially when we first started. This was about 5-6 years ago. She was one of my first clients, did amazing. She learned these principles that you guys are about to learn, applied them beautifully. It was not hard. Ask her yourself, like she would say, it was actually pretty easy to do, and it was totally worth it. She's kept her weight off for over 5 years. And that's why I wanted to add her in here so you guys can meet her. My buddy John, he did amazing and actually set the record that I've ever had of the most amount of weight in the least amount of time. I do not recommend this, guys. However, John was just very, very strong-minded and strong-willed. I was with him every step of the way when he did that weight loss, and he's kept the majority of his weight off, even with an injury. And this has been a few years, actually, okay? And the last but not least, I just want to share a few. There's a lot of them, but Bill actually has my record for the most amount of weight that he's lost. And he actually dropped 140 pounds in a year. This was last year. Bill did extraordinary. He literally learned and applied what you guys are about to. And that's what I want to share, is that Rachel, John, and Bill, and countless others, I say countless because I've actually helped a lot of people in like seminars and trainings, and I've emailed people, and a lot of people have bought my books and stuff like that. And I don't even know how many people have lost weight using these principles, but I know it's over 100 so far, and I'm looking to really ramp that up this year. But countless others have successfully lost and kept their weight off. And these are literal, actual client numbers that I've used that are very common. And I've used these numbers because that's the amount of weight that they have lost, because they have learned and applied what you're about to learn in this training today, okay? So I hope you guys are excited. Drop a 1 below if you're excited to learn exactly what you need to succeed, okay? Drop a 1 below, and then we'll get started here. So let's get right into it, guys. These are the 7 most powerful and natural weight loss and health principles and strategies that I've developed. Mary, Kathy, awesome. Kathy, yes, Bill is awesome, by the way. Yes, I just saw your comment. He is extraordinary, and he kicked so much butt. He still is kicking butt. Awesome. So you guys, let's jump right in. I actually have all 7 on this I'm going to talk about all 7. Then we're going to go in depth with the first 4 today. Okay. So again, I'm breaking this workshop and masterclass out into 2 days. So we're going to hone in on the first 4 today. And the last 4, actually, there's a bonus. So there's 3 principles and then a bonus one as well. And we're going to really hone in on those tomorrow. Okay. But the first one is the 80-20 rule. And this has to do with what you should be focusing most on. The 80-20 rule, which again, we're going to be delving into these in very deep manners just after I share all 7 of these. So I just want to highlight them initially, okay? So it's the 80-20 rule is the first one. The second principle is knowing your energy and food source. Look, I'm talking intimately. You got to know what your food is going to do for you, okay? And we're going to jump into that. It's all about finding the balance and the law of thermodynamics. We're going to delve really deeply into that too, right? You have to be in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. So we're going to get into that. Principle 4, emotional eating. Are you eating to live? Or are you living to eat? Very, very powerful. These are so powerful, you guys, okay? What you are, what you not eat, but what you digest, what you actually absorb into your body. That's what you are actually, okay? And again, we're going to work on these last 3 tomorrow mainly, okay? You are what you believe. Your self-image, your self-identity, your self-concept. You are what you believe. Arguably one of the most important principles listed out here. Because what you believe is true for you and your ability to lose weight and the food, what the food is doing for you that you're eating, that plays such a significant role, it would blow your mind. And it's going to blow your mind tomorrow, okay? And last but certainly not least, you get what you choose to accept, okay? Again, all those, well, the last 2, I should say, are really mindset oriented and extremely powerful, okay? So guys, let's jump right in. We're going to jump right into principle number 1, all right? And again, if you have any questions on anything, please drop them below and I'll try to answer them real time for you. Okay, so principle number 1, the 80-20 rule. By the way, guys, the 80-20 rule is all over the place in our life. And let me just give you some really quick examples, and then I'm going to tie it to how this applies to weight loss, okay? For instance, we tend to spend 80% of our time in only 20% of spaces in our home or at our work. Okay, so for instance, in the kitchen, in your bedroom, in the living room, on your couch, in 20% of the spaces in your home, okay? We tend to drive 80% of the time on only 20% of the roads, okay? They happen to be highways, which is why the highway department puts most of their energy into fixing highways because they know this law. They actually apply this law. This law also applies to your wardrobe. You tend to wear 80% you tend to wear your favorite clothes, 20% of your wardrobe, 80% of the time, okay? So I hope that makes sense, but it's basically 80% of the results that you get come from only 20% of the things you're doing, guys. So what we want to do is focus in on what is the 20%, right? And especially for weight loss, what is the 20%? That's what we're going to get into. It's actually focusing in on calorie intake over calorie expenditure. All right, so what you're eating should be most of your battle, should be 80% of your focus actually, because it's going to give you 80% of the results. Exercising will only get you 20% of your results, okay? And here's why. You can eat 500 to 1,000 plus calories. Quite honestly, you could eat way more than that, 1,500, 2,000 calories actually, in 10 to 15 minutes in one meal, okay? However, you can only burn 500 calories in an hour. And unless you go crazy and you're like extreme HIIT training, like high intensity interval training, which we're going to touch on as a bonus in this course, in this masterclass at the end. But unless you do crazy stuff like that, you can only really burn around 500 calories in a given hour. So right here, if you do the math, this is the 80-20 rule actually applied, right? If you just focus in on controlling the amount of calories you're taking in, you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck, okay? That's why they say six packs are not made in the gym, they are made in the kitchen, okay? Does this make sense, you guys? Drop a 3 down below if this makes sense, okay? And ask me any questions on this because I'm going to go on to the next principle here. But let me know if you want me to answer anything for you, okay? So that's principle number 1. Principle number 2. Okay, Mary, thank you so much. Yes, it's making sense. Awesome, you guys. Excellent. Principle number 2, know your energy and food source. You guys, Mother Nature knows best, knows what's best for us. We have been around for literally millions of years. Okay, evolution has taken course and our bodies have adapted to that. So for sure, Mother Nature is going to know what's best for us. So the idea is, what we're really shooting for is 90 to 100% of our diet coming from whole foods and mainly plant-based, okay? And I myself have been 100% whole food plant-based for nearly 6 years now. In fact, April 29th is my 6-year anniversary of changing my diet. And I've never felt as good as I have. In fact, the first time I've ever gotten sick since then was just now, actually, from COVID. I haven't gotten sick in 6 years, actually. And I just couldn't avoid it because my wife had it, my kids had it. It was just in the house. So, but again, it didn't really knock me out. I just had some, nasal stuff and I, lost my voice a little bit, but it wasn't really even that bad. Knock on wood, luckily. And I'm not saying that it's not going to be bad for anybody else, but I'm just very lucky and blessed to know what I know about my food and how it helps my immune system and everything. So this is part of that though, guys. Nature knows best. So the idea is if it's made by nature, it's the best thing for you. If it's made by man, it's not good for you, okay? And there's many reasons why we're going to go in very depth with this idea. But the real idea is the more processed the food is, the worse it is for you, okay? So, and really quick, just because I have this listed here, I wanted you guys to see this in more detail. This is the whole food plant-based diet pyramid. So basically, if you chose to eat whole food plant-based, meats would be up here if you didn't 100%, but they'd be just very little. 5 to 10% of your diet should come from meats if you're going to even include them. But the idea is they go up here and they live where like the fats and oils live. And we're going to talk more about this in just a few minutes. But this is generally what we're shooting for, is mainly coming from fruits and vegetables. Primarily is our diet, okay? Whole grains, beans and legumes are the next biggest chunk. And then leafy greens are its own animal altogether because they're so good for you. And then the last pieces are the other things that are a little bit higher in fats in that type of content, okay? Oh, Kathy, I just saw your question. Let me see if I can answer this. My problem is not having the time to prepare, so I eat bad things that are available. Totally. Kathy, immediately, one of the things you can implement is there's many services now. Lots of services actually that deliver whole plant-based. They're amazing. I wish I had those services 6 years ago. This is actually just recently, within the past couple of years, a lot of these services has come through. And I'm actually going to be providing a lot of resources at the end to help you guys with a lot of that stuff. But there's tons of them now. And even HelloFresh and other ones that have not been traditionally whole food plant-based are starting to incorporate more of that stuff. So all you got to do is search for whole food plant-based meal services, and that'll help you. They deliver them frozen, a lot of them. Some of them are actually just, a recipe based and give you the ingredients that are natural and you just make it yourself. But yeah, we're actually living in a really cool time to make this way of eating a lot more efficient. for us, okay? But yes, I hope that answered your question on the surface, but I will give you a lot more details on that as well. I can message you aside as well, okay? So let's jump into the third principle, because actually the third principle and the second principle kind of go together, guys, and I'm going to be answering a lot of them together right here. So it's really all about the balance, okay? Rule number one, weight loss rule number one, and in burning fat rule number one is you must eat in a calorie deficit in order to lose weight. It's just literally the law. It's the law of thermodynamics. If you eat too many calories, you will gain weight instead of lose it, right? If you eat, less calories, then you'll start to lose weight. It's just a law, okay? I'm going to help you guys find this balance today though, okay? So the idea is not only finding balance, but finding the natural harmony with everything, actually, with your activity level, with the amount of food that you're eating and the types of foods that you're eating, with the timing of when you're eating, how often, how many times a day. Finding the balance and harmony with you and your lifestyle is the most important thing you can do. All right, and I've worked with a lot of people now, guys, and I know where a lot of people fail. And it's because they're not able to be in balance and harmony with what it is that they're doing. What they're doing is too far away from it, too far from it. And it's not sustainable. So we need to find what works for you that's sustainable, that lives in balance and harmony with your lifestyle. Okay, hope that makes sense. But we're going to be talking a lot more about that as we learn more about these types of foods here, okay? So this is the next thing that I want to really highlight is what does actually 500 calories look like in your stomach? And this is literally what it looks like naturally. So fruits and vegetables 500 calories of fruits and vegetables completely fills your stomach naturally, okay? Almost the same thing with whole grains, beans, and potatoes, and a lot of the other heartier vegetables, okay? They nearly fill your stomach. Meat and poultry and seafood, it's less than half actually. And this came from, by the way, this idea came from Forks Over Knives, one of the pioneering companies, documentaries on whole food plant-based diets. And this information has so much scientific evidence behind it. And there's so much behind it. It's actually over 50 years of study has been put into this. And this is kind of like the digested version of that idea. But it's this idea that Mother Nature knows what's best, right? So whole plant-based foods completely fill your body and in your stomach naturally and keep you satisfied much more effectively. Whereas as soon as you go down this list where there's butter and dairy and cheese, nuts and seeds naturally have a lot of oil in them. So if you are going to incorporate nuts and seeds in your diet, I would just limit them. It kind of goes back to the food pyramid here. They live on top. They're like the lowest amount. So literally a little handful of nuts and seeds is like 100, 200 calories. So it adds up very quickly. So we want to either limit them or just avoid them. If you're trying to lose a lot of weight quickly, just avoid nuts and seeds and any oils or fats that you can, because literally oil is one of the worst possible. Like it's the highest in calorie density out of any other food. The irony here, you guys, is that whole plant-based foods, they actually contain the most nutrients. So they're the lowest in calories, but they're the highest in nutrients. So the reality is, pound for pound, they are the best foods for our body for many reasons, actually. Here's another kind of chart that you can look at. And I'm actually just going to take a little quick water. So I don't want to lose my voice too bad on you guys. But this kind of highlights exactly where the amount of calories, I should say, in certain foods here. The lowest are the leafy greens. Okay, leafy greens and the kind of like the lower calorie vegetables are literally the lowest of any food available. Okay, as you go up the list, it's fresh fruits, right? It starts going into the fruits and vegetables, and then whole grains and rice and all that stuff. And then beans and legumes are the next. And they're the next most calorie and dense, right? And then there you get into meat and seafood and that type of thing. And then you get into the refined and man-made foods, okay? These are the breads, the pastas, which by the way, breads and pastas, if they're whole grain, are good for you actually. Yes, they're a little bit higher in calories, but they're much better for you than the refined version of them. Okay, so that's one of the main concepts I want you guys to understand, is that if you don't change anything out of what you're getting from today, and you only switch over from highly processed, breads, pastas, that type of thing, and you switch them over to whole grain, that alone is going to help you out. Okay, but hopefully you're going to get a lot more out of this, because you can start to see how and why these foods that most people eat nowadays are keeping them out of balance. Actually, it's not actually our fault, you guys. It's the fault of our industrial age of more convenient types of foods, right? They're highly processed. They contain more calories and less nutrients, unfortunately. That's the downfall of the types of foods most people are eating these days. And so the idea, before we get into the next idea, I actually want to come back to you guys. I want to talk to you straight up for a second. So our society, 60 to 70% of people's diets on average, this is literally a statistic right now, 60 to 70% of people's diets come from processed foods. And that's been the result for the past several decades. Actually, it's climbed from like 50% to now it's like up to 70% of people's diets are from processed foods. So the reality is people are falling further away from their health, basically. But it's not our fault, actually. It's just the way the paradigm has shifted. So that's why I try my best to share this information with people so that they can start to make the shift back to natural whole foods. Okay, so I wanted to just reiterate that really quick before we move on, because what we're going to do next is actually figure out your own calories. Okay, so this right here, you guys, is what I call your T number, your total energy expenditure number, and the calculation that you could do to figure out how many calories you need to keep you alive. Okay, that's the very first calculation we need to do. I ate all 5 lines of processed foods for breakfast. Totally, Kathy. Don't worry. Really, this is what it's all about, is just becoming aware of what we need to do and why. And we're going to just demolish your weight loss goals if you implement all 7 principles. Okay, so stay with me here. You guys are going to do fantastic with these ideas. Okay, so this is really step number 1. We need to figure out how many calories sustains our body. Okay, again, I want to come back really quick to this idea. It's all about finding the balance and harmony. So we need to figure out what would keep our body balanced, right? And how can we find that balance as most effective as possible? This is the first step in doing that, okay? So if you literally, for women, you take this formula, you're gonna add 655, you're gonna add that to this right here, 4.35 times your weight in pounds, okay? And so we're gonna actually kind of do this together. So see this example right here. So we're going to take a woman weighing 170 pounds. She's 5'4", and she's 40 years old. Okay. Literally, these are the numbers that shows up. Okay. So it's 4.35 times 170. Okay, after we figure that out, she weighs 170 pounds. That gives you 739.5. Okay. All right, she's 5'4", 64 inches tall. So 4.7 times 64 gives us 308 or 300.8. Okay. And then we subtract your age. So 4.7 times 40 years old. It's 188. So all of these numbers you're going to add, and then you subtract your age after that. Okay. And this ends up becoming your BMR, all right, which is called your basal metabolic rate. Okay. Your basal metabolic rate, you guys, is the amount of calories that it would take you to simply stay alive. So let's just say you're bedridden and you're not doing any activity at all, and you're just breathing and your heart's just beating. That's the amount of calories that will sustain your body 100% for that day. Okay. If it's any under, you'll start to lose weight. If it's anything over, you'll start to gain. Okay. The idea here is we don't want to know what would sustain us just for being alive. We want to know realistically, like add in our activity levels, like how active are we during the day? So if you're sitting most of your day and you're like, you have an office job, I would put 1.2 in for yours. So what you're going to do is you're going to take that 1,500 number and you multiply it by 1.2. And that will give you your total energy expenditure number. Okay. If you do work out a little bit during the day, or you have light activity throughout your day, you can multiply it by 1.3. Okay. And for that example, for that woman's example that we just used, if you look on the bottom here, let's just say that she's mildly active. She works out, or maybe she has, an active job, let's say. So we multiply it by 1.4. The amount of calories that will keep her at the body weight she's at, 170 pounds, it'll take 2,110 calories to keep her at 170 pounds. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Okay. Therefore, if she wants to lose weight, okay, I'm going to come back to you here. If she wants to lose weight, there's another idea that I want to share with you right here. 3,500 calories equals 1 pound. Okay, there's 3,500 calories in 1 pound. So if this person, in the example we just used, wants to get to 150 pounds, let's say, from 170 to 150, okay, she wants to lose 20 pounds. Each pound is 3,500 calories. Okay, so what we do with that is we actually divide out by the number of days in a week, 7 days in a week. So we divide 3,500 calories by 7 days in a week. Okay. It comes up with 500 calories each day. What we're looking to do, you guys, is 500 calories each day. If she ate less, so her number was 2,110 calories. So I'm going to come back here. I want to reshare this. Her number was 2,110 calories here. Okay. So if she eats 500 calories less each day, okay, literally 2,110 minus 500 is 1,610 calories. So if she only ate 1,610 calories each day for the entire week, Monday through Sunday, okay, 7 days, she would theoretically lose 1 pound at the end of that week. Okay, that's how we do this. Same idea as if she ate 1,000 calories less each day. Okay, 2,110 minus 1,000 is 1,110 calories. Okay, if she only ate 1,110 calories every day for 7 days in a row, she would theoretically lose 2 pounds at the end of that week. If she did that for an entire month, she would lose 8 pounds. Does that make sense, you guys? Drop a 5 down below if this idea makes sense. Or do you want me to explain this a little bit more in depth for you? Okay. Let me know if this is resonating with you guys. All right. So this idea is literally we could start to figure out exactly how much weight we want to lose and when by understanding these numbers, okay? So let me know if you want me to go into more detail, okay? Okay, so what we're gonna do, the next piece of the puzzle that I wanna get into with you guys has to do with timing, okay? Timing and finding the balance with your current activity levels, okay? And so intermittent fasting and working out in a fasted state are one of the biggest, most powerful tools that you can implement. Again, it's all about finding the balance and the natural harmony, okay? So the idea with this is we want to figure out the amount in foods, the types of foods that we're eating, okay? How often, how many times a day we're eating them, and does it make sense with our current activity levels? If it doesn't, we need to start to make the shift. Really, the idea, guys, is that we want to make it easier for us to eat in a calorie deficit, okay? Because if you've been out of balance for so long, right, you're overweight now, you've been out of balance for so long, we need to start to come back into balance, okay? So we have to start to shift instead of overeating, eating too many calories, too many foods that contain too many calories, right? Unnatural foods. We want to start eating more whole foods that are lower in calories that'll help us bring us back into balance easier and more effectively. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So intermittent fasting and working out in a fasted state are one of the most powerful things you can do. Really, have you ever heard of intermittent fasting, guys? If not, we're going to get into this. But drop below if you've heard of it, intermittent fasting, okay? Intermittent fasting is basically just taking a break from eating. All right, so here's the idea. I want to come back to you guys again. So most people eat breakfast as soon as they wake up or shortly thereafter. They eat lunch in the middle of their day, and then they eat dinner towards the end of their day. And there may or may not have snacks in between, okay? So most people are eating all day long. And as a child, Kathy, you've heard of intermittent fasting? Awesome. I'm going to teach you all about it right now, okay? It's incredibly powerful, and it'll help you come into balance much more effectively, okay? So the idea is this, is most people are eating all day long. They never give their body a break. As children, that's awesome because we're growing. We're growing into our bodies, right? I've got 4 boys. They eat all the time, and that's good. Like they're growing. They're supposed to be growing. But as adults, we carry that habit of eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner into our adult routine, but we've stopped growing. And in most cases, we've gotten less active. So no wonder why we start to gain weight and our metabolism slows down. Our metabolism doesn't slow down, actually. It's our lifestyle. We have made a shift. We're no longer growing, right? We become more sedentary in our comfort zone more often as you get settled in as an adult, right? So the idea is we need to make that shift. We need to be more in harmony with that idea, right? We don't need breakfast, lunch, and dinner every day now because we're not growing like we were as children or as teenagers, okay? So intermittent fasting is literally that idea. It's just taking a break from eating. Here's why, though. This is why it's so important. When you eat, your body uses food. All right, it's going to use that food for energy and in the form of glucose or glycogen. Okay, so stay with me here. We're going to get a little bit scientific for a second. But all the food you eat, our bodies break it down into glucose or glycogen for our muscles to be active, okay? And literally it gives us energy for the day. And so the idea is if you eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you're constantly getting a source of glucose and glycogen for your muscles and for your body to live. If you've had an overabundance of glucose, what happens? It stores it as body fat. So again, it tips your scale, okay? So the idea is most people have been or are currently overeating, whether they realize it or not, because of the types of foods that we're eating. So they're naturally just overeating because they're eating unnatural foods. And it's been just slowly but surely tipping the scale in the one direction, okay? But out of balance, that's all it is, okay? So the idea is we need to start coming back into balance though. We need to start eating less calories throughout our day. How do we do this most effectively? We start to cut back on the foods that we're eating because, again, when our bodies are eating food, we use glucose as energy. But there's a period of time where it makes a shift, where it starts to use our own body fat as energy. Maybe you guys have heard of the keto diet, okay? Drop it down below if you've heard of the keto diet, right? Keto, ketosis, that idea. Well, that's so popular because it helps you burn fat. But what I'm teaching and what intermittent fasting, what I'm an advocate for is intermittent fasting. Kathy, you've heard of it. Awesome. Yes. It's very popular. It's been the rage for the past several years. Unfortunately, many people who try the keto diet have come to me for help because it's not sustainable, actually. Intermittent fasting is sustainable, and it makes the most sense. It's most in harmony with most people, most adults, I should say. Because once you stop growing, you don't need to be eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner the way that you traditionally have been, or the way we've traditionally been accustomed to, okay? Yeah, Mary, yes. You don't like it and it's unsafe, right? It is actually very unsafe. And we're not even going to get into that here, but it is extremely unsafe long-term. But we won't get into that. That could be a bonus thing if people are interested in that. But the idea is what's safe is what is natural, actually. So what we want to do is just find the natural balance and harmony with our food and our day and our activity levels. So for instance, let's just say you are sedentary. You're not running marathons or going, working out all the time. You don't need that much food, actually. In order to sustain your body, right? We go back to that basal metabolic rate. It was 1,500 for a woman who was 170 pounds. It's only 1,500 calories to keep your body alive, actually, in a relatively sedentary state, okay? So the idea is, if you simply start to eat less, you get yourself into a calorie deficit. And we're going to talk about how you can effectively do this using intermittent fasting in just 1 second. But even just doing that alone, just getting into a calorie deficit automatically allows your body to start using some of its body fat as energy. Some of your stored body fat gets burned in as ketones, and it'll be used as energy instead of glucose, okay? And there's actually a little ratio I want to teach you guys. So most people eat all day long. Most of their energy is coming from their glucose, and anything in addition gets stored up as extra body fat. But that's going the one way. We want to go the other way. So the idea is what we want to do is we want to start to pause and extend the time out to give our bodies a chance to burn fat more effectively. There's a magic window here, 12 to 16 hours. Okay, so stay with me here. After 12 hours of not eating, okay, you haven't eaten in 12 hours. Let's just say you've only drank water, okay, for 12 hours. And naturally, by the way, we do this when we sleep, okay? We naturally intermittent fast when we sleep. It's just part of our human nature. So we just simply extend this out a little bit longer to burn more body fat and to extend it out. So at the 12-hour mark, what's happening is, so up until that point, our body's been using mostly glucose as energy, okay? It hasn't really used much body fat at all, if at all, at any, okay? It's used mostly glucose as energy. So after 12 hours, your body's like, well, what's going on? We're not eating. And survival mode kicks in, and it's like, well, we gotta figure out a way to sustain our body and survive here. So let's open up some fat stores. That's what happens, okay, at the 12-hour mark. Your body starts to open up its fat stores, but there's a ratio. So what it looks like is literally about 90% glucose is going to be 90% of your energy will be from glucose, and 10% will be from body fat at that point, at the 12-hour mark, on average for most people, okay? If you're highly active, that shifts in a little bit sooner. If you're mostly sedentary, it goes in at the 13-hour or 14-hour mark. That's why they say 12 to 16 hours is a magic window, actually. But at around the 12-hour mark, your body's just thinking about opening up its fat stores to start using as energy instead of your food, okay? You could only have two sources of energy, your food or your stored body fat. That's it, okay? It's like credit and money, right? It's the same idea with money. But the idea here is every hour after that, it opens up more and more. So let's just say at the 13-hour mark, 80% of your stored body fat, 80% of your energy is coming from glucose, 20% is coming from your stored body fat, okay? At the 14-hour mark, 70% of your energy is coming from glucose, your stored glucose in your muscles and liver. 30% is coming from your body fat. So the longer you extend the fast, the more body fat you burn naturally. Okay. So even if you made one change today and it's just skip breakfast and extend out the amount of time since you've last eaten to 16 hours. Okay. Around the 16-hour mark, by the way, it's usually around 50-50. You're burning 50% body fat, 50% glucose, and it'll continue going more and more. Like let's just say you go to an 18-hour fast. I wouldn't recommend it if you've never tried it before. I would start off, actually, if you've never tried fasting, start off with a 14-hour fast. See if you can do it for 14 hours, which the best and most natural way to do it is, let's just say your last meal is at 8 p.m. Your last, snack or meal, food source was at 8 p.m. 8 a.m. has already been 12 hours. So you just go to bed, you wake up at 8 a.m., and you extend it out until 10 a.m. Okay, that's been 14 hours. You eat breakfast at 10 a.m. Boom, your body uses a little bit of body fat. Okay, it's not a whole lot, but it's a good way to start to shift into it. If you could go till noon, 16 hours, they use a little bit more body fat as energy. Okay, does this make sense? I want you guys to understand intermittent fasting very, very in depth. And we'll go into this a little bit more towards the end of tomorrow's session as well. But let me know, drop a 7 down below if this makes sense, okay? I want to make sure that this really resonates with you guys. Awesome. So Kathy, thank you for that. So the idea here is 7, awesome. Thank you. Kathy, you're the best. So the idea is what we're trying to do is just shift back in to harmony and balance with where we're at in our life right now. Okay, we're no longer growing. We're not a teenager anymore. We don't need as much food to sustain our bodies anymore. In fact, if you have a lot of extra body weight stored up, and if you did the math on this, okay, let's just say you have an extra 30 pounds of body fat stored up. 30 times 3,500 calories. Because 1 pound equals 3,500 calories. That's how much energy you have stored up in your body, actually. 30 times 3,500. You can live for days without eating, actually, with just drinking water for so many days, actually. People don't understand that. They can actually live without even taking in any food. So fasting is actually very beneficial for your body, especially when you've been out of balance, okay? So that's why I wanted to spend a lot of time on explaining it. But the idea is, let me share my screen back here with you, okay? The idea with this is we're simply just trying to come back into balance as effectively as possible. So what we do is if we combine the two ideas, okay? Oh, and I was going to get to this in a second. Okay, so if we combine this idea, this calorie density idea with intermittent fasting, it's a game changer for you, okay? So this is it right here. If you simply eat mostly fruits and vegetables, whole grains and beans and legumes, okay? Mostly throughout the day, you will feel full, satiated, and satisfied. You'll have more energy, usable energy actually. There's more usable energy in those types of foods. And you will lose weight more effectively. Because again, like let's just say you have 300 or 400 calories, fills your belly substantially compared to these other foods. If you just do that a few times a day, you're eating, 1,000 to 1,200 calories. So you're not really avoiding, and let's just say you eat 2 meals a day. Okay, we're going to incorporate intermittent fasting. So I'm going to buzz ahead here. You eat 2 meals a day, and you start eating, let's just say at noon, and you stop eating at 6 p.m. Okay, what's going to happen is from 6 p.m. until noon the next day, your body is just going to burn up the rest of what it ate last and start to make the ratio to start burning more body fat more effectively. By 11 a.m. the next day, if you haven't eaten, you've only drank water, I highly recommend you drink tons of water. Okay, before you go to bed, you might not want to because you don't want to be waking up having to go to pee. But in the morning, drink tons of water. This is your meal number one. Okay, water is extremely beneficial for so many reasons, but that would be what I would recommend, okay? So the idea is if you drink tons of water all morning, your body is starting to use body fat as energy all morning long. If you did this 7 days a week, okay, and you only ate, let's just say 2 meals that were 500 calorie meals, completely whole food, plant-based, completely fills your tummy and your stomach, and you're totally satisfied at that first meal and at the last meal, you are not hungry, right? Because you're drinking lots of water in the morning, your hunger is down. And hunger, by the way, is natural because it's ghrelin, the hunger hormone, getting released, trying to get you to eat because it hasn't eaten in quite a while. It happens around the 12-hour mark usually, in the morning. Or if you have eaten, it happens at the 3-4 hour mark because it wants to continue feeding your body. Okay, it's a natural hormone actually. But the idea is, well, if you can do those 2 things over the course of 7 days, you would have lost, if you were that example that we had, who the woman was 2,100 calories to sustain her lifestyle, okay? But if she intermittent fasted and ate whole food plant-based and only maxed out and had a daily calorie ceiling, which we're going to be talking about in 1 second, had a daily calorie ceiling of 1,200 calories or 1,100 calories, that's nearly 1,000 calories under her daily T number, her total energy expenditure number. And over the course of that week, she'd lose 2 pounds. Okay. And it wouldn't have been super hard actually. So I have 2 questions. Thank you guys so much. So Kathy, I have been trying to drink water more, but I have to add one of those single serve flavor packets to it. I can't just do, that's totally fine. Totally fine. As long as it has 0 calories, it will not break your fast actually. Okay. And even if you added lemon juice, a little bit of lemon juice for flavor, lime juice, that doesn't even break your fast. Okay. It's as soon as you add calories, like if you were to add like, actual like sugar or something that actually has calories, that will break your fast. Okay. Same thing with coffee. Black coffee actually doesn't break your fast, or natural teas do not break your fast, but it's when you add honey or when you add creamer where it breaks your fast. Okay. So I hope that answers your question there. Mary, how many days do you do this? Great question. How many days would you be willing to do this? That's the question. Guys, you don't have to do this every day, but it's the compound effect, right? It's the slight edge approach. Yes. All right. So it has 10 calories per packet. Okay. So that actually does break your fast, Kathy. I apologize. If it's more than like 2 calories, it'll break your fast, basically. It's not horrible. And what I would recommend instead is try to have infused water. So what we do is we have a pitcher of water. We put strawberries and blueberries and different fruits, natural fruits in it, and let it sit in the fridge. And it's filtered water, and it tastes amazing. You just add that as a beautiful, natural flavored water for yourself, and it won't break your fast, okay? If you ate the strawberry or blueberry in it, which like my wife likes to do, it will break your fast, okay? But the idea is, anything over 1 to 2 calories will break your fast. So we definitely want to be conscious of that. So, but to answer your question, Mary, how many days do you do this? I will tell you right now, I do this 5 days a week. I've been doing this 5 days a week for several years. I'm used to it. It's my habit. But I started doing this just once a week. I just tried it out. I just started with what I was comfortable doing. Okay. That's what I recommend for you. If you're willing to this week, try it out a couple days. Just try it out, right? See how you do with it, with extending it out. Just drink water in the morning. And again, Kathy, it could be infused water if you need to flavor it. It's totally fine. But really what we're trying to do is just come back into balance as naturally and as effectively as possible. This is how you do it, guys. Okay. And I'm here to tell you, so where I'm at now, I'll tell you what most of my day looks like. Because I actually want to give you the last piece here because we're coming up on the hour. I'm going to go a bit over. I hope that's okay. I am just excited to help you guys out. So we're going to go a tad over, but I really want you guys to get this information. If you worked out, all right, with that example we just shared, 6 p.m. was your last meal of the day. Okay, you went to sleep, you woke up, you're drinking tons of water in the morning, you're not thinking about breakfast, you can actually focus your thoughts and energy on your work or your task at hand in your morning, which is actually awesome. A lot of people say this, it's brilliant. You don't have to worry about eating, you just focus right in on what you're doing, which I agree with. Like I find it super exhilarating. So what you do though is if you can add a workout in the morning, what will happen is, you have a 2 o'clock call, Mary, no worries at all. You can catch just the tail end of this afterwards. I'm going to leave this up in our group for quite a while so people can catch a replay, okay? Thank you so much for being here live though, by the way, I appreciate you. Yes, do I slice the fruit or smash it? Yeah, you could do both actually. Kathy, you could do both. When you smash it, it gets all the juices out of it. But actually, I mean, either one works because literally the juices are going to come out of it naturally. So that's why it's like infused water. Like it's a natural type of thing. So I hope that answers your question there too. Awesome. So, but if you guys worked out in this state, in a fasted state, okay, and it could be any time in the morning. You could, as soon as you wake up, if you worked out, what will happen is, let's just say you have a 1 hour workout. And it doesn't matter, it could be 30 minutes, doesn't matter, but 1 hour we're going to use, okay? 1 hour workout should allow you to burn about 500 calories, okay? So 1 hour workout, you're in a fasted state though. So what's going to happen is during your workout, your body's going to make a shift where it starts to use more body fat as energy. And so a lot of the energy during your workout is actually you burning body fat. Instead of, let's just say you ate something right before you work out, most of your workout is going to be burning what you just ate before it touches your body fat. So again, people think they're drinking Gatorade and they're going to be benefiting their workouts. No, it sets them back actually. If you can work out in a fasted state, you only drink water before and during your workout. You can also have amino acids, which we can get into in a different conversation. If you really extend your fast, I'd recommend using an amino acid supplement that will actually help you prevent burning muscle. But if you're only doing, up to 16 hours, you don't have to worry about that. That's for like 20, 24-hour fasts, and you're going to work out as well. You might burn a little bit of muscle. So we prevent that using amino acids. But again, that's not for most people. But for you, if you're just going to go to 16 hours, and you work out, what's going to happen is most of your workout will be burning body fat. So let's just say 300 out of the 500 calories will be from burning body fat, okay? If you worked out, that's if you worked out right before like 11 a.m., okay? If you worked out in the morning, what's going to happen is most of the workout's going to burn the rest of your glycogen stores, okay? And then it'll get to burning more body fat. And if you extended your fast out, most of your morning, you'd be burning body fat during most of your morning. So it's the same idea, but it's just the timing. It all has to do with timing, okay? I hope that makes sense. But this alone is one of the single most important ideas that you could take away from this training today, okay? Coming back into balance, principle number 3, okay? And this checklist, I actually was going to take this off. I'm going to be giving you guys this tomorrow, okay? If you want to check it out today, you totally can. This helps make things easier. But I'll be providing this to you, okay? And really, principle number 4, I want to get to for you guys so that you can actually round out what we're going to be doing today here, okay? Emotional eating, and this sets the stage for what we're going to get into tomorrow. Eating to live instead of living to eat. So I have several questions I want to ask you guys, okay? And for those of you who have listened into this entire thing, thank you so much. I know we're going beyond an hour, but hopefully this is going to be very valuable for you. These are lifelong lessons you can learn that will serve you for the rest of your life. I promise you, okay? So here's some questions to find out if you are eating to live or if you're living to eat and you're eating more emotionally, okay? And by the way, if you are, don't worry, we're gonna overwrite this tomorrow, I promise you. But do you eat to live or live to eat? Do you know right now? Can you answer that question? What do you eat on a regular basis? Write it down, like figure it out. What am I eating on a regular basis? What foods are your go-to and why? Okay, what's your go-to for breakfast? What's your go-to for lunch? What's your go-to for dinner? Why? Why is it your go-to? Just because I've always eaten that way, right? Most people, it's just habitual. That's all it is. We've learned it from our parents, our grandparents. Whoever we're around most, we just adopt whatever they're doing, right? It's just what it is. So the idea is if we're eating, right? If we're living to eat and we're emotionally attached to our food, we need to start making the shift. We've got to start looking at food as just being what it is, energy for our bodies. That's all it is. It doesn't mean it doesn't have to taste good. It doesn't mean it has to taste bad. It can still taste good and be good for you, actually. And we're going to talk about that tomorrow, actually, with really healthy recipe. I'm going to leave you guys with lots of healthy recipes to try out and an actual meal plan that you could try out, okay? That's going to be tomorrow. All right, but this is the next piece we're going to get into, and we're going to really delve into it super deep tomorrow, okay? So you guys, for today, this is going to conclude what we've talked about today. Here's what I would love for you guys to do. Rate yourself on how you think you're doing with the first 4 principles. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you say? Okay, and here's some questions to help you guys with that, okay? Do I focus more on exercising or eating? The 80-20 rule, right? Am I just trying to exercise more and I just eat whatever I want? Or am I actually, what could I do differently there, okay? How much of my diet is from processed foods right now? The more transparent you are with these questions, guys, the more powerful it's going to be, okay? Literally, how much of my diet is from whole, natural foods? All right, if it's only 10, 20, 30%, we want to start making that shift, okay? Shoot for 50-50 at first, right? You don't have to go all the way. You could jump in all the way if you wanted to. And I don't recommend it though, honestly, because most people will not stick to that, okay? But does the amount I eat make sense for my current activity level, right? Answer these types of questions for yourself, guys, okay? Then write out all the ways you're not in harmony with those first 4 principles. Okay, the idea here is we need to get in harmony with these principles in order for us to start to lose weight effectively, okay? calculate your T number and your DCC number, your daily calorie ceiling number. I didn't really get into great detail with that, but your daily calorie ceiling number is the number subtracted from your T number, actually. It's the number of calories that you don't want to go over in order to lose a certain amount of weight. So for the example we used throughout this whole day, with a woman who weighs 170 pounds, who eats, if she eats 2,100 calories, will sustain her, okay? If she wants to lose 2 pounds each week and lose 8 pounds at the end of the month, her daily calorie ceiling needs to be 1,100 calories. Okay, it has to be. Unless she wants to add in some exercise, because you can actually offset the calorie intake with the exercise expenditure, because you're going to be burning calories, additional calories. So you can, let's just say a couple days a week, she eats 1,600 calories, but works out for an hour. It accomplishes the same exact thing. I hope that makes sense for you guys, okay? If not, just drop it below and I can help you answer these questions afterwards, okay? But the idea is, what we're trying to do is set ourselves up for success here and eat at least 500 calories under our total energy expenditure number. So that should be your daily calorie ceiling, at least 500 calories under. That way it ensures you lose a pound at the end of the week. Okay, that's really how that works, okay? So the next step is calculate out your specific number. If you need help with this, guys, let me know. Just message me separately. I'll be happy to help you calculate this out for yourself, okay? And then the next thing I want you guys to do, what are 1 to 3 things you could start changing or implementing today or tomorrow in the near future that you know will help you be more effective with your weight loss? Okay. And let me come back to you guys here. Okay. You guys, if you follow these first 4 principles, this is the strategy that will help you physically start to lose weight. Okay. Mentally though, we're going to get into that big time tomorrow because it's arguably the most important piece of the puzzle. So yes, you need to know how to lose weight and what's going to be most effective. But we need to implement the mindset. Yes. Oh, Kathy, totally. I will help you calculate your numbers. No worries at all. I'll reach out to you after this. Okay. Thank you for being honest and letting me know. Yeah. So the idea is, what we want to do is we want to be strong in our knowledge and in our understanding of our body, but we want to be even more strong in the knowledge of our mind and how that whole thing works, which we're going to get into tomorrow, guys, okay? But for right now, if you apply even one of the things we talked about today, just pick one of them. I said 1 to 3 things. If you can implement 1 to 3 things, in the near future, write it down and just commit to that. Make the decision that you will implement what you learned today. One of the things. That's it. Hey, I'm going to eat less processed food. Boom. Awesome. That's a success. It's the slight edge approach. There's a book, by the way, called The Slight Edge, which is awesome. If you've never read it, it's really, really great. It just says like 1 apple a day, or 1 apple is not going to solve your health problems, just like 1 Big Mac is not going to kill you, but over time it will, right? So like an apple a day over time will actually build in health for you, okay? A whole plant-based any food a day will help you get more healthy and lose more weight more effectively, okay? Just because it's natural. They're naturally lower in calories and higher in nutrients, right? We want to start eating those types of foods, okay? So you guys, with that, if there's any additional questions, just drop them below the comments of this video and I'll answer them real time for you as best I can, okay? But stay tuned for day 2 tomorrow. If you found value in this, let me know. If there's certain questions you want me to answer, I can answer them tomorrow specifically for you as well on that live training as well. But I'm here for you guys. I want you guys to have the most success you've ever had at losing weight and coming back into balance in your life. Okay. And this is my mission in life, is to help people find the balance in their life. Not even just with weight, by the way, but I've evolved over the past several years into all areas of your life. Finding the balance in your life is what it's all about. Okay. And I'm going to teach you the mindset principles tomorrow that will literally guarantee your success. Mark my words right now. Okay. But with that, guys, thank you so much for Mary and Kathy for joining me live. Thank you so much for those of you who jumped in. I saw a couple more people jumping in. Thank you so much for those of you who watch this replay. I would talk to myself, I would, but I would love to just serve you and help you to the best that I possibly can. And I hope that this was very valuable to you, okay? With that, you guys, I will see you the same time tomorrow, 2 p.m. Eastern time for day 2 of the Ultimate Weight Loss Accelerator free masterclass. Okay, guys? So have an awesome day.